Hi, thank you so very much for taking time to join me once again. So, if you've been following me in the last episode, I spoke about the ministry and business, and I started from what Martin Luther said, which is the fact that this whole idea of clergy and people who are laity, that it's the mere invention of humans. That was never God's plan. In God's plan and purpose, all of us are ministers, all of us are priests. And I started to elucidate on that more and more, to the intent that I encourage pastors to remove the spiritual dichotomy between secular and spiritual, and the fact that we don't need to elevate full-time ministry above people who are doing secular work, because if we do that, what we'll be doing is we'll be denigrating secular work and we'll be losing a lot of opportunity to minister. And I encourage people to see business as a ministry, as well as the fact that ministry is not necessarily higher than business. I said a lot. I always encourage you to catch up because I cannot do all the recap. You can check us out on www.tenet.tv. Check us on Facebook. We're there as Tenet Television, or YouTube, Tenet TV International. So you will get all the materials. Today I want to continue in that same trend of thought by talking about priesthood in the marketplace. So I said the fact that people who don't have cassock, who are not wearing religious regalia, who are not full-time, who are not being paid by pastors, are still, by the church. They are not being paid by an organization. They are still ministers. And I want to focus more on that today by looking at how can we be more efficient in our marketplace ministry. So priesthood is not limited to church, to the four walls, the brick and mortar church, but priesthood can also operate even in the marketplace. So what is marketplace ministry? This is basically the directing of our evangelistic efforts and all our Christian activities towards the secular marketplace. I think it was last episode I said that the essence of Sunday is Monday. And that means that when we gather on Sunday, is to empower us from Monday all through to Saturday. And actually, church starts on Monday, because church is when we mix with people and we do the work of ministry. So, marketplace ministry means to be a disciple of Jesus, a witness for Jesus in and through our vocation, your work, your business, whatever it is. And you see, marketplace ministry is very important because there are people who will ordinarily not step a building called church. Do all you can, they will never come to church. So we need to do what? Go and meet them. Again, in the last episode, I challenged pastors and I said, are you leading a people that come to church, or you are leading a church that goes to the people? What we've been doing is leading a people and calling them to come to church. It looks like everything revolves around the infrastructure that we call church, and that is actually not the church, because the people are the church. But we need to go beyond that. We need to begin to lead a people that goes to the world, a church that goes to the world. We need to take ministry out of the four walls of church and go and mix with people. That exactly is what secular marketplace ministry is all about. I said there are some people that will not come, and there is so much hurt, there is so much need, there is so much opportunity for us. Jesus walked the streets, he went to the market, he went to the seashores, beach, he mixed with different people, he went to weddings, he conducted ministry. He didn't have a church, he didn't stay in one place, he was just ministering, and as he was going, he was doing ministry. As a matter of fact, when he left and told us, go into the world The original word actually means as you go. So as I do my day-to-day activities, I should be looking for opportunities where I can minister to people, because there is a lot of hurt and need. The people we really need are in the marketplace, and there is so much that a pastor can do. A pastor that preaches to 300, even if he preaches to 3,000, is limited in terms of the scope and the type of people he can meet. Unlike a secular person, I have done some very interesting things. Let me share one of them. I practiced as a quantity surveyor for a while, and there was a time that what my company was building was a building of another religion. I won't tell you which, and I was measuring, there was no office I didn't touch, and I did a lot of prayer work. Now that is an opportunity that a pastor will not get. A pastor will not be given the opportunity to move near that building, but as a marketplace minister, I touched everywhere in that building, and I did a lot of seed sowing. So we need to ensure that our ministry, as well as our business, our work, our vocation, they coexist side by side, and we cannot hide our faith. We've got to make our faith open. Now that does not mean you go around with a bell or you go around praying everywhere. If it is needed, you will do that, and if it's allowed. But what I mean by that is you have your eyes open, you make your values known, and everybody sees that this one is a child of God. It said that by their works you shall know them. Okay, let's read Exodus chapter 19, so that somebody doesn't say, oh, what is he saying? He's not reading the Bible. Everything is coming from his head. Exodus 19 from verse 5 and 6. Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then you shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. So the bank is God's, the telco is God, the manufacturing is God's, as well as the church. And again, it says, verse 6, you shall be unto me a kingdom of priests. I've said it over and over and over again. God has a kingdom, and everybody is a priest. Not what we see in church today, a few people doing all the work, a few people being in uniform. No, all of us are priests, and we should do it. It's called an holy nation. Now, I said it before, ministry is not for the church only, but for the secular. We who are not, when I say we, someone like me, I'm not necessarily a full-time pastor, I have my daytime job. We all need to accept the responsibility of doing the work of the ministry. And that's part of the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. We don't need to leave it to the people who are ordained, or no. There is a part that we have to play. In fact, it is a significant one. And the starting point is that you have to see your ministry from your business from an eternal perspective. You see, we have to know that God has called all of us. See your business from an eternal perspective. It's important that as you go through life, you are looking for opportunity. You are not separating your ministry away from your business. Know that anywhere and everywhere you are is God's ordination. If you work in a company, you are sent. You are sent. Now, I have a few points for people who are disciples. Last episode, I spoke more to pastors. This episode, I want to speak to people who are not necessarily in the fivefold. You need to know that you are a mobile dwelling place of God. 2 Corinthians chapter 2 verse 14. It says, now thanks be unto God, which always causes us to triumph in Christ, and makes manifest the savour of his knowledge by us in every place. Now, the word savour there, other versions translated it as aroma or scent, or it is like perfume. So if I wear a perfume, anywhere I go, they will smell it. Now, that is the way God has made it. God says we are the aroma, the scent of Jesus Christ. And people don't just smell that in church. They smell it in the mall, they smell it in the bank, they smell it in my office. Everywhere I go, I should carry that. So I need to go with that consciousness of the fact that I am sent, as well as any other minister that you may consider big, popular, known, or in the full-time ministry. Okay, we are sent to them that are saved, as well as those who are perishing. So we are full-time gospel ministers. There is all this idea of it's only some people. No, we are full-time ministers. It doesn't matter whether you are an engineer, whether you are a bricklayer, you are a full-time minister. The only problem is, or the only difference is, we have different funding mechanisms. So some are being paid and by the church, by the organization they work for, and some are being paid by the secular organization. But that does not mean that you do not have the responsibility of preaching the gospel. Now, if you have the responsibility of preaching the gospel in the marketplace, now you need to be a welcoming person, a friendly person. In the past, especially in the early days of Christianity in my country, what people did was to seclude themselves, and that was not effective. It was a matter of time. It became obvious that this is not the best way to do ministry. Proverbs 18 verse 24 says, a man that has friends must show himself friendly. And there is a friend that sticks closer than a friend and a brother. So if you want to minister, you must be somebody that opens your life, opens the door. You are welcoming, you are open, and you have to be deliberate actually about socializing. We Christians ought to be the most social people. I said it before, Jesus moved around, he mixed with the people, and he called us to be salt, and he called us to be light. So you are the salt of the earth. If I cook a stew and put salt, and the salt does not mix very well, that will not be a good soup. For the soup to be a good one, and for the salt to be efficient and effective, what does it need to do? It has to mix all around the soup. And we are the salt. The earth is the soup, the stew, the food, whatever you want to call it, and we need to mix with the people. So we need to be deliberate and intentional about our mixing, our socializing, and there is so many ways by which we can do it. One of such is the fact that you need to be open and accept invitation. We need to be even intentional by going to places that unbelievers are. We need to be deliberate and intentional. Yes, I know that we are not supposed to be unequally yoked with unbelievers, but what I mean is, if all my friends are Christians, then I will not be able to minister salvation because they are already saved. Okay, if all I do is go to religious places, there will be a limit to how much I can minister salvation, because it is assumed that everybody who comes into that environment is already saved. So I need to be intentional, and one of those is by inviting other people to my party. I know a couple that love to celebrate virtually everything they do, naming ceremony, weddings, birthdays. They called people and they preached the gospel. I mean, I don't think it's because they love parties so much, but because they wanted a platform by which people could hear the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ. So feel free to call parties and make sure you attend other people's own. Every opportunity, alumni opportunity, old boys, old girls, have an opportunity to mix with people, and that is where the opportunities will start to come to the fore. Now, you are a communicator of the gospel, and we need to be prepared and equipped. 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 15 says, but give reverent honor in your heart to the anointed one, and treat him as the only master of your life. That is not my emphasis. The next verse is my emphasis, or part B. 1 Peter 3:15. And if anyone asks about the living hope within you, always be ready to explain your faith. So the gospel is precise. There are things, there are elements of the gospel, and every believer needs to be equipped as to how to preach it, how to present the gospel in a way that people will hear. This is outside of the scope of what I'm teaching. I believe I dealt with it in another series. So we need to be prepared, equipped, taught on how to present the gospel. And that's my challenge to you. If you meet an unbeliever, do you know what to say? Do you know how to lead him or her to Christ? So this might be some of the reasons why we are not being efficient, because we are not prepared, we are not taught. Of course, prayer is a very important aspect of carrying our ministry to the marketplace. I spoke to you, I told you the illustration of while I was a quantity surveyor and I was in this building that belonged to another religion, and I prayed on all the rooms. I mean, this is a very senior, in fact, is the most senior organization in the other religion, and I sowed prayers into that place. In the same way, you may find yourself in a place where there is somebody who is backsliding, somebody who definitely needs Jesus. Maybe his lifestyle is wayward one way or the other, or maybe he's even religious but he doesn't know Jesus. The least you can do is to pray for that kind of person. And the interesting thing is that the opportunities are already there. So you don't need to create another one. You don't need to even start a fellowship. All you need to do is be intentional. You don't need to be additional. You don't need to create another platform. You don't need to say, hey guys, come, I want to preach the gospel to you. As you go, the opportunity will come. In your conversation, somebody will say something and you will hear that, you will have an opportunity to chip in one word here, one word there. Just leverage the opportunities. The rhythm is already there. Just leverage it. Okay? The other thing you need to do is you need to know everyone's story. Everyone has a story. And all you need to do is be open enough, be bold enough, and ask. If you are friendly with them, you follow all the other stuff I've spoken about, when the opportunity comes, you ask the question and you'll find out that everybody has a story. Somebody's child is sick, somebody's marriage is in tatters, somebody's finances is in tatters, somebody's spiritual life is in a mess. That is a story. And most times, out of the pain, people want to make sure that the pain is out, and they are happy to share their story with you if only you show yourself friendly and genuinely concerned enough. And what you need to do once they are sharing your story is listen, and listen again, because people want to be listened to. Listen to the story, of course, show empathy and be an opportunity, and now pray with them, provide a solution, and of course the ultimate solution is Jesus. Again, you need to bless people. Give a little here, give a little, just be somebody who wants to bless people. I remember it was somebody's birthday recently, and after I chatted with him, or was it even my own birthday, but this guy is a Muslim that I've known for years, and he responded to me to say, you are somebody who genuinely wants to see how to add value to people. When I meet people, I want to see how to be a blessing to him. I want to see how I can, like this guy, he has a child that is very good in football. He himself was very good in football. I said to him, okay, how do we help this child to go through a football academy and he will become a better person? The height you couldn't get to, he can get to it. I didn't even know he was noticing, but he just made that comment in person. One of the things we can do, invite people to lunch, recreate. All of this is pointing to the fact that you need to mix. I remember when I was in the university, I played football, and some of the people I played football with were cult members. And I believe I had an opportunity to sow seeds. So that doesn't mean I became a cult member myself, but it was an opportunity. So when we recreate, you do sport, those are opportunities to minister the gospel. I believe that the days of secluding ourselves as Christians is gone. These are the days when we need to mix with people so that we can bring them the good news that is very much required and demanded. As I bring this to a close, I want you to know that you are as responsible as any big pastor, teacher, evangelist. You are as responsible as them for the gospel. So don't be under the illusion that because you are not, you don't have a congregation, you are not ordained, that you don't have the responsibility. No, we all have the responsibility to take the gospel to the end of the earth. I want you to commit to making your vocation, your business, to run it with an eternal perspective, and knowing that anywhere and everywhere you are actually sent. I want you to commit to impacting everyone you meet. It could be a word of prayer, a word of encouragement, it could be a book, whatever it is, and commit that you will no longer segregate your spiritual life from your secular life. So I trust that this has been a blessing to you. I want to hear the testimonies about how this has been an impact in terms of taking the gospel to the marketplace. And if there is any way I can be of help to you, drop me an email, info@tenet.tv. I will see you same platform, same time. Until then, God bless you.